Good evening, SportsZonians. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike Aglialoro. I am your host for this is SportsZone. Coming to you live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. We've got a good show for you tonight. No Dave Hastings this week, unfortunately, but we are going to be joined by Erich Treslar in a matter of moments. And we got the 2018 trading deadline in Major League Baseball to talk about tonight. We got a lot of moves we're going to go over. We're probably not going to do a full blow-by-blow of everything that has happened in the last week, but we are going to do kind of a run across the league, a little recap of some of the bigger deals that happened. Obviously, we'll be talking about what the Yankees did. When we were on the air last week, I did not get a chance to bring up the fact that the Yankees were in the process of acquiring Zach Britton, the former closer of the Baltimore Orioles. They got him for 3 prospects. Then, later in the week, they got the starting pitcher they wanted in J.A. Happ. They traded Brandon Drury and prospect outfielder Billy McKinney to the Blue Jays for Happ. McKinney, of course, this is his 3rd deadline deal since 2014. He was traded along with Addison Russell to the Chicago Cubs back in 2014 for Jeff Samardzija by the Oakland A's to the Chicago Cubs. He was then traded to the Yankees in the Aroldis Chapman deal, along with Gleyber Torres and Adam Warren. Gleyber Torres and Adam Warren in that trade for Aroldis Chapman. So he was involved in that. Now he's in this trade as well. And then the Yankees really maneuvered a lot. They made a lot of minor deals because at this point they had a huge surplus of pitching. So they traded Adam Warren to the Seattle Mariners. They traded Chasen Shreve to the St. Louis Cardinals. I believe they traded another prospect or 2. They got some minor names back. But the big get for them in all those trades was they got about $3 million in international pool bonus money between those minor deals, which they used in part to sign, I believe his name is Ozzie Rodriguez, one of the top names in this international signing period. So they got the man they wanted. I believe he's from Cuba. Probably not even 16 years old. Probably going to be a very long time before you hear about him. But that was all the moves they made. And then yesterday, just to throw some icing on top, apparently, they traded for Lance Lynn of the Minnesota Twins. Now, of course, you may remember the name Lance Lynn because I had advocated that the Mets should sign him over Jason Vargas back in this year's offseason. I believe it was about December or January. And the Mets did not sign Lance Lynn. They signed Jason Vargas. Lynn himself started off the year terribly for the Minnesota Twins, but he's actually been better over the last month. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Yankees move him around, if they use him more as a starter or as a reliever, because as of right now, they do have 6 starters, if you look at that. Because you have Severino, you have Tanaka, Sabathia, you have Sonny Gray, you have Jay Happ. Now you add Lance Lynn to it. So it'll be very interesting to see. They traded Tyler Austin and a 19-year-old pitching prospect away for Lynn. So if you think about it, I know when we had talked previous, and actually, well, let's bring him on so we don't even have to wait. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the show Erich Treslar. Erich, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, my friend. I'm doing good. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Well, I will say, I think if we're putting this in baseball terms, I mean, you've been doing better than me all season. But now I would say after the trading deadline, I would say especially you are doing much better than I am right now. So let's get sweaty. Let's get into it here. Let's talk about the Yankees trading deadline moves. I'm sure you must be very happy at the moves the Yankees have made over the last week.
Yeah, I'm good with them. I don't hate them. I want to see what happens with them.
Yeah.
Not overly excited. I mean, because again, Happ isn't like landing, say, a DeGrom or a Bumgarner, but he is having a pretty good year and did have a pretty good debut. So I'm hopeful as to what we can get out of him. Same with Britton. He adds to an already stacked bullpen. I think it's a strong move.
Mm-hmm.
And the other moves they made, I mean, the Warren move and the Shreve move, I think were more to free up the space for those guys. They wanted to get some of that international money back. That's what I guess, that's what they were really looking for, because I guess they were pretty much out of international money. They needed it because there's a couple of international guys they're looking at right now.
Right. And they signed the main one that they wanted, right-hander named Ozio Rodriguez. I think he was actually...
Yeah, Rodriguez.
Yeah, I think he was the fifth-rated player in this international signing period. At least I think that was according to MLB.com. But, let's talk a little bit about these trades, because the Britton deal was actually happening while we were on the air last week, and I had forgotten to bring it up. I was very surprised you guys got Britton, because obviously bullpen is not an area you would think the Yankees would make an attempt to upgrade it all. But you gave up 3 prospects. The main one you gave up was Dylan Tate, who of course was the return of the Carlos Beltran trade from a couple of years ago. All things considered, I think that, in my opinion, I thought this was a pretty decent risk for a guy you're going to have for 2 months. Britton hasn't really been the same since. I can't remember, what was the postseason where I think the Orioles were in the wild card game and Britton, it was like a 10-inning game, and Showalter did use Britton in the last inning. Was that 2014? Or was that 2016?
Maybe 14. I'm not sure.
Now that I think about it, I think it was 16.
16, he had a really good year, didn't he? Well, that was his big year.
That was his big year, and I think that was the year they made the wild card, and he didn't get off the bench in like the 10th inning of the game, and the Orioles lost the wild card game. I'm pretty sure that was that year. And last year he did not have a good year. He was hurt for about half of it, I believe. This year he really hasn't been great. So that was the point I was making by bringing that up. He really hasn't been the same since that season.
Yeah, but you don't have to have him be a closer, though. You can have him be a 7-8 guy.
Right.
I think he's going to be more comfortable. I think I don't know. I like the move. I think it just adds to a strong bullpen. We have the best bullpen in the league, I believe, ERA wise, and I think he just adds to that.
Yeah, I mean, like I started to say at the beginning, I like the move for you guys. I didn't think you guys gave up too much. I think the only other arm in this package that you guys gave up who was actually ranked in your top 30 was Cody Carroll, and I think he's still a couple of years away from really doing anything for the Orioles anyway. So it was a good move. Now, I want to go back to the Hap move, because you said you didn't seem too excited about it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure when we first started talking about the DeGrom to the Yankees rumors and all that stuff, this is the guy I thought you guys were getting the whole time. I might have said that. Yeah. And if you look at it, this is exactly what you guys should give up for a guy who's only going to be around for you guys for like 2 months. Because I think Hap's a free agent after the season. You give up Brendan Drury and you give up Billy McKinney. Dude, I like this move a lot for you guys. And I think the Blue Jays came out of it pretty good, too, all things considered, because Drury's a really good player. He's not an all-star or anything, but, I mean, if Andujar had never come up and been what he has been for you guys this year, and you guys had to ride through with Drury for the whole season, you guys would have been fine.
Yeah, no, he's a solid player. I think they got a great player. I think they got a guy that for the next, 7 years or so, play solid baseball for him. You know what I mean? He could play on all levels, and he could hit, he could field, he could play at a couple different positions. He's a good guy to have.
Yeah.
I hate to lose him, but I mean, I get it. There was no room for him. So I mean, to get something out of him, Hap could be just a rental, but you never know. After the year is over, who knows? We're going to be looking for some starting pitching. So see what happens.
Well, I mean, you could definitely do a lot worse if you do decide to re-sign Hap after the season, because I think he signed for like a 3-year deal with the Blue Jays a couple of years ago. and he's been one of the most solid starters in baseball since he signed that contract. So you definitely do a lot worse for yourself there. Now, this is the one that I got to be honest. This one hurt my heart to see you guys get this one, and it's the Lance Lynn trade. You guys trade Tyler Austin and the 19-year-old pitching prospect Luis Rio. This one hurt my heart. I will definitely say that, and I think this is the guy I wanted the Mets to get in the offseason, as opposed to Jason Vargas. So when you guys made this trade, I felt like you guys were just doing it just to laugh at me. I really did.
Yeah, again, Austin's another guy though that I hate to lose.
Yeah,
I don't want to lose him. He's a guy who's shown he can play. Again, there's just no room for him, and it's a shame because he can play. So we got something back out of it, and I don't know. Again, it's a move. I want to see what happens with it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I just I hope it turns out, to be what they're hoping it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I mean, in my opinion, Lance Lynn had been a pretty consistent starter for about 3 or 4 years with the Cardinals, and then he had Tommy John surgery. I think he made like 30 starts last season in his first year back for it. Signed with the Twins. He was one of the guys who did not sign until very late in February. Had a terrible start to the season, but from what I know, he had been turning things around in the last month. I had heard people say that they made this trade as insurance in case something happened to Severino. But do you look at this as Sonny Gray's time, and like this is putting Sonny Gray on notice that you need to get your stuff together because now we got the ability to replace you and stick you in the bullpen if you don't get your stuff together?
Yeah, I think it could be that. I think it could be that they're may now look, who knows, maybe to move Gray if they could for a piece, for something back. I
mean,
I don't know.
Here's my thing about that. You guys gave up a lot to get Sonny Gray, and if you trade him now, you're not recouping half that. So he's still on the contract for like a year and a half. I think it'd be very difficult to move Gray again at this point.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. And plus, I don't think his value, like you said, is nearly as high as what we paid for him.
Yeah.
But, you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Who knows? They package him up with maybe a prospect, and you never know what can happen. So.
Well, you guys still got plenty of talent in the minor leagues because, I mean, this was a perfect scenario for you guys in terms of trading away your depth and not really giving up anything that you saw as a key piece to your future. I mean, Drury and Austin, I mean, I think you know this. I think the big risk with trading these guys, especially Austin, is by doing this, you kind of this was in effect putting your confidence and putting your trust in Greg Bird as your first baseman in the future. And I think you can agree the big risk here is you make this trade and then all of a sudden Bird goes down with another injury, or God forbid you look a year from now, Austin's turning into a stud with the Twins, and Bird is kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's a definite risk. Yeah, Bird is a definite injury risk. He's got to prove he can make it a season, which he has yet to do.
Yeah.
And it does take away some depth there for us. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's pretty much a statement that says to Bird, "You're the guy. Now you got to be the guy."
Yeah.
And let's see if he steps up.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just looking at the depth chart. You do still have Neil Walker. You do still have Tyler Wade, who's kind of the Yankees have kind of been positioning him as the Swiss Army knife. So you do still have some depth. But in terms of having a guy who you could look at as like an everyday starter if Bird went down or something, that guy's basically gone. You got fill-ins right now. But I'll tell you this, Lynn is a good pitcher. So at the very least, and he's another one who's a rental, so you're losing all three of these guys at the end of the season. But for 2 months. I think this was an appropriate risk reward, in my opinion, for Lance Lynn. So I want to go.
And another guy who's pitched well against Boston in his last few times.
Absolutely, and let's go to Boston right now, because I want to kind of do a look around the league for all the trades that happened today. Boston, last week, they get Nate Eovaldi in a deal from the Tampa Bay Rays. And then yesterday, they add Ian Kinsler as kind of a replacement for Dustin Pedroia, who's been out the majority of this season. It doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon. Kinsler has not had a great season, but he's been heating up over the last month. The funniest thing to me is, if you want to talk about the guy who's probably the closest to Pedroia, at least in terms of a second baseman, in terms of a gritty guy who may not be the most talented guy in the league, but he winds up being just a solid performer, and he's got the heart you always want. Kinsler's the guy who comes to mind, probably closest to Pedroia there.
Yeah, I'd give that to you. I think he's a gritty player. He's a guy I don't want to necessarily face, but I'd rather face him than Pedroia.
I give you that. Yeah. No, if they're both healthy, Pedroia is definitely better. I can definitely agree with you on that one. So you look at where the Yankees are right now. You look at where the Red Sox are right now. I'm just looking at this outfield that the Red Sox have. That has to be the best outfield in baseball right now. Just Benintendi and Betts alone, and then you throw Bradley in there, and they have a very good infield too. They did just lose Chris Sale to the disabled list today, though. So if you look at the division, because I think we all know I'm not saying anything shocking by saying it's coming down to the Yankees and Red Sox here. Not just for the division, but both teams definitely don't want to be in that wild card spot. I'm trying to pull the standings up real quick. So the Red Sox are still first place. Yankees down by 6 games. Do you have faith that they can catch up to the Red Sox?
Yeah, because they're not 6 back in the loss column. That's where it matters. They still have games to make up. And, I think they can turn it around. Plus, they've played well against Boston so far this year. Mm-hmm. I got faith. We got to see what happens. I think it's going to come down to the end. I think they're going to close a 6-game gap a little bit, or at least I hope so.
Yeah.
And see what happens. Both teams are really good, but I think Sale going down definitely hurts them, and we'll see if maybe it hurts them mentally at all.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I only because I'm seeing
Yankees are only 4 back in the loss column.
4 back in the. I was going to say that, and then I'm just. Do you see the score of the Nationals Met game right now?
No, I'm watching. The Yankees are beating Baltimore 6-0.
Just the Nationals are beating the Mets by a score of 19-0 in the bottom of the 5th or 6th inning right now. That's just so fucking.
Tanaka's through 6 scoreless.
Well, that's good. I'm just so fucking disgusted in this season. You have no idea. I mean, honestly, how many fucking times does a team sign 6 goddamn free agents and every fucking one of them goes by the goddamn wayside? I swear to freaking God, this team. And, Cespedes may never wind up playing again for all we know. And Wright may actually wind up coming back before Cespedes. And then all this crap, and they trade away Cabrera and Familia for 2 really crappy prospect packages. And it's just I don't know. Let's look at what else happened across baseball at the trading deadline, because I swear to God, I'm just so fucking disgusted by the Mets right now. You have no goddamn idea. And I don't care that I'm cursing a lot. I don't curse a lot on this show. So I got a few coming to me. Let's talk about it. Here's what I consider to be kind of the biggest trade of the day, in my opinion. I don't know how close you followed the trades of today. The Tampa Bay Rays traded Chris Archer to the Pittsburgh Pirates, which it was very surprising to me to see the Pirates kind of being a buyer here on the trade deadline. They get Austin Meadows, the outfielder, and pitcher Tyler Glasnow. Now, these are both the guys with I'd say all-star caliber potential, even if the results haven't exactly been there. This, in my opinion, is a pretty big risk for the Pirates, who sit 7 games back of the Cubs in the AL Central, and I believe they're also still in the hunt for the wild card as well. Did you? What were your thoughts when you saw this trade?
I'll be honest, I didn't see the trade, so I'm just hearing about it right now.
All right. Well, you hear about the trade. Archer hasn't been great, I'd say, the last year. The Yankees got an ERA over 4 the last 2 seasons. But in my opinion, Archer was probably one of the top pitching names on the trading deadline on the block for at least the last couple of years here. Pittsburgh gets him. They add him to Jameson Taillon. And truthfully, they lost their ace in the offseason when they traded Garrett Cole away. This is basically kind of a lateral move replacing him. And you give up Austin Meadows, who doesn't really have a place to play right now with Corey Dickerson, Starlin Marte, and Gregory Polanco lined up in the outfield. But he is a guy who could start on most teams. And you give up Glasnow, who I believe had lost his spot in the rotation, actually. So this is a risk for Pittsburgh, even though Archer signed a very reasonable contract for the next 3 seasons. This is actually a sneaky good move for the Tampa Bay Rays here, in my opinion. So now that you've had a little bit of time to digest it, do you have any thoughts about the trade?
I like it better for Pittsburgh. I just looked, they're only 3.5 back out of the wild card. Not that far. They're trying to make a push, and I think Archer can help them do that. Like you said, manageable contract for the next 3 years. That's up their alley. Get some, major league ready caliber pitcher that they can trot out there, as opposed to a guy like Glasnow who's, fighting to even stay in the rotation. And like you said, they even lost his spot in the rotation. So, I see it as an upgrade for Pittsburgh. For Tampa, I see it as they got back a couple of guys that have potential, but, who knows? Potential doesn't always pan out.
Potential does not always pan out. I agree with you on that. But, I'm looking at Tampa Bay's track record for developing quality pitchers. And Glasnow going to Tampa Bay, I like this for him long term. And, all right, you've replaced a guy who's a bona fide, I don't want to say top quality starter, but I'd say putting him in like the top 50 starting pitchers in baseball, I don't really think that's a stretch. Going from a guy like that to a guy you have to develop in Glasnow, all right, that's not a great move. But if you look at what Tampa Bay's rotation is right now, they don't have a starting rotation. They're the team that's starting games with a relief pitcher and then letting a guy who's supposed to be like a starting pitcher, a long man, come in and pitch 3 or 4 innings after that. That's their innovation. And the amazing thing to me, I didn't even notice, Tampa Bay is sitting at 500 right now. They have a 53 or 53 record. And by all accounts, if you look at their roster, they should be 100 times worse than that right now. So I kind of like this move for them in the future. Obviously, this ain't going to help them that much for this season. But next season, if Meadows winds up developing, you have a solid starting right fielder there, and you could have a guy who replaces Archer, and you have him for a couple years longer in terms of years under control in Glasnow. So I like the move for them. Let's keep going here. I can keep throwing trades out to you. I don't know how much you saw of the trades that happened today. What moves that you saw either today or through the course of the last week really kind of stood out to you? Not Yankee related, of course, because we already did that.
I still think the biggest move, and it happened way before the deadline, was the Dodgers getting Machado on a rental.
Yeah.
I still think that they, I don't know. I still think that's the biggest move out there. I think it's the biggest push. You didn't see a guy like DeGrom get traded or Bumgarner. The deadline was kind of lack of stars other than Machado. So, that's why that one just sticks out to me.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. And I don't know if you saw it, but today the Dodgers made another move. They got Brian Dozier from the Minnesota Twins for Logan Forsythe and a couple other prospects there. So they definitely didn't stop moving. I think they also got relief pitcher John Axford from the Blue Jays. So they definitely made some moves here. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about the Dodgers. I'll say this. They don't really care how the pieces fit. They're just going to keep throwing pieces and pieces and pieces together, and they'll figure it out in the long run. Because if you look at the team, they had a starting infield. They had a quality starting infield. Cody Bellinger, Max Muncy, who's come on very strong this year, Chris Taylor at shortstop, and Justin Turner at third base. I mean, that's a solid starting infield, even with Corey Seager going down earlier in the year. I think he went down needing Tommy Johnson, so he's out for the season. Then you add Machado, and now you add Logan Forsythe. So you have this great starting infield, and you have this power-packed bench because you got to figure guys like Muncy and Chris Taylor. Taylor was kind of a utility-type guy anyway. Now that's what you have coming off your bench. I tell you this, man, sooner or later, what the Dodgers do is going to win them the World Series. It has to, right? Because they've been doing this crap for about 5 years now. The closest they got was last season, finally making it to the World Series. So it has to work at some point, right?
No, it really doesn't. It doesn't have to work. It could work. I mean, listen, they put together a good lineup. You could tell their front office is trying, that they are, doing their due diligence, that they're out scouting, doing what they need to do. They're willing to spend money. I think that they are showing that they're trying as an organization. And it's really all you can ask for as a fan. I mean, I know you don't really know what that's like as a Met fan because the Wilpons are awful owners.
Nah, I can give you that. I unfortunately.
But if they decided to sell, like the Dodgers sold a few years back, and it seems like since that sale, things have really turned around for them. Things seem to be a little different. The culture out there seems to be growing baseball wise, and I think it was a good move all around by the Dodgers, who are trying to make another push for a World Series. We'll see if it pans out, but can't fault them for the moves they made. They were good moves.
Yeah, it's nice to see an organization trying, even though, listen, I'll say again, the results this year have been terrible. I'm not a fan of the Wilpons, but again, they did sign 6 free agents in the offseason. So they
weren't great free agents. They were all right free agents. They were, listen, an older Todd Frazier, Jay Bruce, they're good. They looked good, but they weren't great. You didn't feel real great. You weren't pumped up about them.
Now, listen, I can agree with you. These aren't superstar free agents. These aren't the guys. And I even said that I wasn't supremely excited in the offseason. But on what planet, Todd Frazier has played over 150 games every season the last 4 years. On what planet does he come to the Mets and he's on the disabled list for half the season? Same thing with Jay Bruce. These guys play full seasons. And then all of a sudden they come to the Mets and it's like, oh, God, let's get hit by the taxi cab now. What is that?
But don't you think partly it's the fact that there's so much crap going on with the organization from the top down that maybe they get there and they're just so much drama, so much nonsense that they're like, yeah, I'm hurt. I'm good now for a little while, guys.
Here's the
pulled
deal.
a hammy. I did this. I did that. Now, granted, the injuries, I don't ever want to say somebody's, but I just think that maybe some injuries may have been, a little shorter, or may have been, they tried to play through them if they were somewhere else that was on a pennant, team that was in a race. So
but here's the deal, because I got to ask. You said the thing about all the drama. Are you just talking about the Mets in general, or are you talking about something specific that happened this season? Because let's be honest, in terms of internal drama or anything, I mean, listen, everything that goes on in the Mets gets leaked to the presses within minutes anyway. There wasn't any of that this season, outside of the Alderson coming down with cancer thing and them having to trade hard.
Are you kidding me?
What happened this season?
Kidding me?
You tell me what happened this season.
What happened a couple of weeks ago when they were
No.
with Cespedes?
No. I'm talking about.
And you got the coach that doesn't even know that he needs surgery.
No, listen. I agree. I agree with you on that. You made it sound like these guys got to New York, and with all the drama, they decided, oh, I'm hurt, I'm not going to try. I'm not talking about what happened within the last 2 weeks. I'm talking about like to start off the season. Because there wasn't any before that. Yes, Callaway's a guy.
Yeah, there kind of was, because everybody knew the front office sucks. Everybody knows that it's just a bad organization. It has a bad rap right now. It really does.
You're talking in general, though. You're not talking anything specific. If they felt that way, why come to New York in the first place?
Because they're getting paid.
So you could get paid somewhere else too. I mean, suppose you got paid.
Yeah, they could have, but maybe they weren't getting the offers they liked. They picked up an offer. You know, like you said, they were willing to give it a chance, but as the season's unfolding, they just realize what a shit show it is.
But that shit show, in all fairness, didn't get in a full swing until the whole Cespedes thing.
You would have been better off with Wally Backman.
No. Don't. I will hang up on you if you ever bring up Wally Bachman's name on this show again as Mets manager. No. That's where I draw the line. I could take you doing the Luke Skywalker thing and saying everything you just said in that sentence was wrong. I could take that. Don't bring up Wally Bachman on this show. I gotta keep you a better manager. Anyway, no. Since you brought that up, though, since you brought up the Cespedes thing, and I'll say that Frazier got paid $8 million a year. He didn't get paid no astronomical amount. He could have found that anywhere. He actually wanted to be in New York. He actually liked New York. He's from what is it? He's from, what's the place in Jersey that had the team that won the Little League World Series about 20? Toms River, New Jersey. He's from Toms River. He likes the area. He wants to be. So I don't believe that one. I don't believe what you just said 1 second. The Cespedes thing, dude. As far as I'm concerned, the whole freaking front office and management team should have been fired for that entire unfolding event. How you don't know the guy's got freaking calcification of his heels, how you let him come back, how you let him give that interview and just nonchalantly say, oh, I've been dealing with calcification of my heels for the last 15 years. How you even sign him to a 4-year contract knowing he's got problems with his heels? And that never comes up at all. And then Callaway the next day, I didn't hear the interview. That's some embarrassing shit. And then Syndergaard coming down with hand, foot, and mouth disease. What the hell is that? What is that?
Jay Happ has it, apparently. They're not ruling him out for Saturday yet, but he has it, apparently.
Well, thank God someone else does. I never feel happy that someone comes down, but I swear to God, when I heard that Syndergaard came down with hand, foot, and mouth disease, I thought I was being punked. So, Jesus.
Coxsackie.
What's it?
Isn't it called Coxsackie?
Coxsackie?
I think that's like the medical term for it.
I think part of me thinks you're screwing with me, but I can't confirm or deny that one. So unfortunately
You're gonna have to look that up later.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. All right. Coxsackie. I don't know where you come up with this shit.
No, it's the term. I'm 95% sure that is the term.
Okay, if you say so.
I believe it's the medical term. I know it sounds silly,
it
sounds like I'm screwing with you, but I'm telling you it's the medical term.
Sure, medical term. We're all professionals here. All professionals. Hey, let me ask you something. Yeah, we're gonna change the subject real quick because we can go back to the trading deadline in a minute here, but. Did you hear this?
You didn't want to talk about Coxsackie some more?
No, I don't want to talk about Coxsackie some more. Let me ask you something. Because I heard earlier today, apparently Fox is commissioned a script to be a prequel to The Sandlot. And it's going to be written by the original guy who wrote and directed the first movie. You remember The Sandlot, right? With the Beast and Benny the Jet and Killing Me, Smalls. God, I feel that about you sometimes. You're killing me, Smalls. But, yeah, so would you want to see a prequel to The Sandlot?
No, I got The Sandlot. I'm good. Yeah, we got to go and do prequels and everything's got to be, the trilogy. And we don't need the Sandlot trilogy. It's just not something I'm craving.
Well, I'm
happy with the original. I was good with the original. Well, let's leave it there. Why can't we just all love it for what it was? Why do we got to go and it just goes to a point that Hollywood has run out of ideas. Yeah. They've run out of new ideas.
Yeah.
They have to recycle ideas because they don't have anything new. It's true. There's nothing original coming out that's any good.
I tend to agree with you on that one. Here's the thing, though. We actually do have a Sandlot trilogy. They made 2 other Sandlot movies that were both direct to DVD. The third one actually
because they were direct to DVD.
Yeah.
They were right next to the Kate and Ashley Olsen home videos. So you know what I mean? Like they matter. They weren't real sequels. You know what I mean? And I don't know about you, but I don't need to see a 1930s prequel either. I'm good. Or a 70s. I'm good.
Listen, I totally agree with you on that one. I don't want one either. It's like, okay, I don't know if you heard about this, because this came out like 5 or 6 months ago. You watched The Sopranos, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want a prequel movie to The Sopranos set in like 1950s Jersey during like race riots and stuff, so we could see a young Tony? No. We got flashbacks to when they were kids in the actual show. What do you need a prequel for?
I don't want a prequel. I'm good. If I want to see old gangsters, I'll go watch Boardwalk Empire. I'm good.
You know a movie I want to see? I don't know if you heard of this one. This is going to be coming out next year on Netflix. Directed by Martin Scorsese with Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and Joe Pesci. It's called The Irishman. They're using that.
Yeah. It's so expensive. It's like, isn't it like over $100 million, but just mainly because they have to do the aging technology to age them down?
Something like that. But honestly, you can't tell me you don't want to see this movie.
I didn't say I didn't want to see it. I just said it's crazy expensive because they have to do that much de-aging to these old guys who are again working with Scorsese. So, I mean, listen, I'm sure it'll be good. Yeah, I'll see it. So, yeah.
See, I wouldn't have thought of it like what you're just saying, because I get it's expensive to do the de-aging. I want to see that. I mean, you saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, right?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. You remember how they de-aged Michael Douglas in the first Ant-Man and Kurt Russell?
Yeah, they do it again, and I heard they do it with Michelle Pfeiffer, too.
And they do it amazingly with both her and Lawrence Fishburne and with Michael Douglas. So you take that technology and you do it to Pacino, De Niro, and Pesci. God, I would want to see that. I would sign up for that tomorrow. So I don't know. I don't know why we got back. Oh, because you talked about old mom movies. Yes, I want to see that movie, and it sucks we have to wait till next year to see it. But yeah, that sounds very good to me. All right. I'll tell you what. Do you have anything you would like to talk about tonight, sir? Because we've just been throwing up stuff that I've been throwing out. I know you got some things you would like to talk about.
Training camp started, and I guess that's positive. I heard Darnold finally signed with the Jets. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was the last rookie not signed.
He was either the last or the second last or something like that. Let me ask you something. If you're the Jets, you have everything go wrong for you. You are basically the Mets of football, where you have everything that could go wrong, always go wrong with you. How do you screw up and make Darnold be like the longest holdout because you're trying to protect yourself on the chance that you already think there's a chance this guy's going to wash out? because that's what the holdup was, the offset language in the contract. Something about, like, they could release him after, like, 2 or 3 years and not be on the hook for any money or something. Why are you already planning for that?
Probably because they want to see how the next 2 years go, see what position the team's in. And if they have to rebuild or do something else, they want to have the flexibility to be able to dump them.
Yeah, but, I mean, come on, man. This is a guy who could be your future face of the contract.
He could be, but they've struck out on a lot of these guys. I mean, remember Hackenberg was a second-round pick.
Yeah, he was a second round. He wasn't the number 3 pick in the NFL draft. I'm saying, to me, I get the point you're making, but there's a difference. You know what I mean? Nobody looked at Hackenberg and thought this guy was the future. They thought, hey, why'd you take him in the second round when no one else had him above the round 3 grade?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I agree with you, but I also think that that's almost a smart business decision by the Jets to be like, hey, so we like you. We hope you work out. But if you don't work out, we want the flexibility to move on without you. I like that move. I mean, I get that that's probably what he didn't like about it and what the holdout was over and whatnot. But he only missed 4 days of camp. They got it worked out. He's there doing what he needs to do. You know, I'm already getting tired of the national anthem talk. I don't know about you, but I guess the league has now stepped in, told Jerry Jones shut his trap.
Well,
so he's silenced for now, but I hate that that's still the looming cloud as we're going into training camp.
Well, listen, I'm not a fan of what Jerry Jones said or the way he's handled this whole situation. But I got to be honest.
But then Zeke and Prescott both came out and said that, hey, we're gonna be there. We're gonna be standing. We're all together as a team. There was no reason for anybody, to make a big deal out of it. The Cowboys all seem to be on the same page.
Well, I think here's the thing. I've never had a problem with the anthem protest, but I think this whole thing stems for I don't really know how to word it. A lack of a strong center at the front of the NFL here. Because here's the deal: first of all, the fact that you don't have the language in the rule book that says that every player has to stand. I don't get that at all, because you're the only major sport that has that written as specifically like that in your rule book of all the major sports. That's number one. Second, if this had been addressed when Kaepernick first did this, all right, we're going to suspend you for a game, or we're going to fine you a game. We don't want anybody doing this during the anthem. If you had said this right off the bat, there would have been a little bit of backlash that first month, and then everybody just would have accepted. It would have been fine in the long run. But the NFL can never jump in front of a storm. They always have to be reactionary. They always have to catch up to things 20 minutes after the problem actually happened. Look at what they did with the Ray Rice situation and the Greg Hardy situation and all of these different things. They don't ever jump in front of the bullet. They wait until the bullet's already past them, and then they can't do anything about it. So if Jerry Jones did one thing right, I think through this whole time, he jumped in front of it, addressed it with his players, let everybody know, this is my stance, this is the way we're doing things. If you don't like it, guess what? I'm the boss. And everybody was able to realize this is what we're doing. We're going to fall in line with this. And I just think if the NFL had done that right off the bat, we wouldn't be where we are now. But also, I think part of the problem is the NFL players don't respect their commissioner. Because look how Adam Silver handled the same exact thing. Was it last year someone asked him about what happens if players protest during the anthem? And he said, we expect everybody to stand during the anthem. Not one player came out against Adam Silver because they all respect Adam Silver. Players don't have the same level of respect for Roger Goodell.
I agree with you there. I think some of the players don't have the respect for Goodell. There is a contentious relationship between the Players Association and the league. Mm-hmm. I think it's really shitty that this is being used as a bargaining ploy pretty much for the next round of bargaining negotiations.
There's going to be a lockout. I can tell you right now, there's going to be a lockout. There's going to be a work.
Yeah, it's all going to be terrible. It's all going to be terrible, and I think all the other sports are going to benefit from it. I think baseball, all the way down to soccer and lacrosse and all these other sports are all going to benefit from it. Because you're going to turn kids off, you're going to turn parents off, you're going to turn the fan base off, and they're not going to come back right away. Baseball, I mean, honestly, it really was until the home run race between Sosa and McGuire that fans got back into baseball after the strike in '94. You know what I mean? It takes a few years. You're not bouncing back right away. I don't care how big the NFL is. That's the thing, is the NFL has that ego. We're bigger than everything. We're bigger than the government. We're bigger than the world. We run things. And in reality, they don't. I hope they get a rude awakening. I said it years ago, and I still say it. The decline is happening. It's coming, and the NFL is way behind the eight ball. They're not catching up anytime soon from the looks of things, from the way they handle these situations.
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, you said it, I said it. That's their MO. Don't get in front of the curve. Constantly play from behind. And hope that your reputation that you've built over the last 20 years can sustain you. And we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years that reputation has really been tarnished by everything they haven't done to jump in ahead of every problem they continue to have. So, yeah, it's not looking good. But let's enjoy it while we have it. And let's be honest. I think we all know Goodell is going to stay as commissioner until he stops making the owners money. Okay, like the ratings declined and everything last year. All things considered, the owners are still making money. The owners aren't letting him go until there's about 2-3 years where they're running a deficit as opposed to making a profit. When that starts happening, then they're going to get rid of him so goddamn fast.
Yeah, I don't know if they're ever going to fall far enough to be in a big deficit. I mean, they are $9 billion or $10 billion industry right now.
Yeah.
I know Goodell wanted to grow that to be triple that, and around $30 billion. It was his original vision and goal, and I know he's still working towards that. And that's why he's trying to grow it internationally. And he's going to strike out on every platform.
Yeah,
it's terrible. Somebody should really get in his ear and be like, focus on the people that are here, focus on America, focus on the teams that we have, and expand within us. These other countries don't care about football the way we care about it. The NFL's tried the NFL Europe and all these other things. It doesn't work.
Right.
Secondary leagues like the XFL and the USFL and all these other leagues don't work. It's the only league that seems to work, and they need to keep it working.
Well,
don't screw up a good thing. This is the only country that cares about this sport. Don't screw it up.
Listen, I agree with you on that one. But here's the thing. You brought up the USFL. That actually did succeed for a minute. For a minute, that actually
but not with any type of longevity.
Well, that's because
was it 5 years, 6 years?
I think it was 3 or 4 actually. But
yeah,
here's the thing. I don't know if you remember the documentary. When Trump got involved and he convinced all the other owners to move the league from starting in the spring to starting in the fall, that's when the league went belly up. When it was a spring league, it was actually doing well. Sorry.
No, I agree with you, but I just don't think it was ever something that was sustainable. Regardless of the move to fall or not, I think it peters out. I mean, the XFL lasted for what, 2 seasons?
Not even.
Everybody, 1 season. Everybody was so hyped about that season, and He Hate Me and all these other goofy gimmicks they had. But it sold tickets for a little while, and if that's what you're trying to do, then. But I don't think that that's the right way to go.
Well, listen, I don't necessarily disagree with you. But, I mean, I've said this before. I think the reason why the XFL failed was because they focused too much on general presentation and they didn't focus enough on the on-field product. And I think that's the main reason, because they had the audience. The audience was there. The audience was ready to watch this. and the quality of play was just terrible. And by the time the quality of play really improved towards the end of that season, they had already pissed off their fan base to the point that nobody was watching those games.
Well, I mean, how deep do you think? I mean, NFL rosters are already 53 men deep, right?
Right.
And you figure you do that across the league. You're talking how many players are left to go play in a secondary league? There aren't that many. Not good players. That's why the quality of play isn't good, is because you're not drawing good players. You have to have the talent out there. If you don't have the talent, it doesn't matter. You can have all 53 guys on your team have heart, but if they don't got any talent, the heart can only take you so far. You know, you need the talent, and those leagues seem to lack it, and that's why the gameplay isn't that good, and that's why they don't seem to last.
Well, here's the deal. Again, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I'm just kind of giving a secondary perspective here, because I get the point you're making. Like, obviously, the NFL in terms of talent is the pinnacle. But I think you do have enough players out there to fill out rosters. Look at how the CFL does it every year. I mean, obviously, CFL, large step down from the NFL. CFL's been around for over 20 years now, and they manage to fill out rosters all the time. If you look at, like, how many college teams are there? Not just Division I, but if you go down the line, Division II, Division III, however many, you're talking hundreds of thousands of players out there. And these are guys from
but how many of them are any good? That's the problem, is the good ones get drafted. The good ones play in the NFL and make the big bucks.
The good ones don't always get drafted. Let's be honest.
But I'm saying you're picking 200 and something kids a year, so now everything after those 200 and something kids, then you're going to have a bunch of undrafted free agents sign with teams as well. I mean, how much talent do you think is left per year? I mean, you can fill out rosters, yeah, but you're not getting talented guys.
But I think also there's something to be said about player development and going in the right system, because how many times have you seen player, all the talent in the world, goes to a team that doesn't know how to develop its talent, he washes out. On the flip side, you get a 4th or 5th round pick, maybe not the most talented guy in the world, but he's able to work with the coaching staff. The team has a quality player personnel department that's able to really develop the players. That dude becomes an all-star, whereas the top 10 draft pick, who's highly bandied about, goes to the team, washes out of the league, and is done after one season. It happens. But I'm not saying
but think about it. How many of those good coaching systems are out there? How many guys out there? If you look at it in the NFL, all 32 teams aren't great at developing players. So now you're going to say that all these other teams in this other league have got to get guys that can develop talent. Well, if the guys in the NFL, some of those guys can't develop talent, what makes you think that they're going to develop these untalented guys even further in a league with lesser coaches? I think you're going to have to, it's a different system. It's a different game. It's not the football people are going to want to watch.
Listen, I think you raised some good points. I'm not necessarily arguing with you on it. I think it can happen, though. I think, obviously, a league that starts overnight, we're announcing it 6 months later, we're on the field. In my opinion, you're not giving yourself enough of a chance to really develop the talent. You're just kind of throwing everyone together and hoping something sticks. The fact that these leagues, remember, it's not just the XFL that's coming back. You have Dick Ebersol's son starting the league, where he's put in a lot of former NFL minds behind the scenes. And that league, I think, is starting up next season. I think these guys giving themselves a year, 2 years to really put your plan in place, put your player development stuff in place. I actually heard today that Jim Caldwell I'll let you go, but Jim Caldwell and John Fox actually joined the XFL as consultants for the player personnel and everything. Go ahead.
But you're talking about player personnel. The youth football is down. Less kids are playing football. Less talented kids are playing football. They're now going to other sports like soccer and stuff. It's a dangerous, violent game that they're not. You can't make a violent game non-violent. And with the concussion issues out there, and this week I've already seen another story about the helmets, I guess, that they use aren't good, or there's some helmet thing out there now. I haven't read all about it, so I don't want to get too deep into it. But I'll read more about it this week, and maybe we'll be able to talk about it next week. But still, it's just another issue, another equipment issue, another issue that the NFL, that they're going to try to fix, but not really fix. And it's just not. It's not growing anymore. So to be so hopeful and think you're going to get so much talent and get all that talent developed and everything else in another league on top of the NFL, it's too much. You're spreading things too thin. You're jamming way too much football down everybody's throats. And I think it's just a bad recipe. I don't even think they should start it.
Well, I mean, also remember that both these startup leagues, they're not talking about 15, 20 teams, something like that. They're each going with about 8 teams to start off with. And I'll be surprised if they have 53-man rosters. I wouldn't be surprised if they have like 40, 45-man rosters. So, I mean, that's not a big thing. But, I mean, you limit the talent pool that way. Listen, you can't deny what you're saying about the youth football going down. I absolutely hear you on that. But if you look at states down south, and I think I brought this up to you before, like Texas, Alabama, states like that, football is still as popular as ever down there. So I think that's
still popular, yes, but I'm telling you, even if it's on a lesser scale in those states, football overall is on a decline. And it may be lesser in those states, but it's still on the way down as far as youth goes. And until they find a way to somehow take the violence out of the violent sport, I don't know a way to fix it. And the NFL has a lot of big problems on their hands, and a lot of things they're going to have to figure out, because it's not going to be an easy road for them to hoe, in the future. I think they got expanding way too much of an ego, and I think in time they'll be put in place.
Well, I mean, that's a solemn note to end this particular discussion on, but I'll leave it at that, because listen, you can't argue with a lot of what you're saying. I do think a lot of the reason, outside of the health factors, I just think a lot of it is what you're saying in terms of the NFL decline, and I just wonder if infusing some fresh blood with different options could at least give it a spark. Obviously, you can't deny what you're saying, though. So
yeah, but we opened this conversation with, you have a looming holdout coming. You have a looming strike coming. It's all a bad perception right now for the NFL.
Oh, it definitely is. Definitely is.
To grow the sport, you can't have a strike. To open another league, you can't have a strike in the NFL.
Well, actually, that point I'm going to disagree with you on, because a strike or a lockout could be just the thing that makes people be like, oh, I'm going to check out these secondary leagues because I still want to watch football. That is going to be there if these leagues last, because I think the lockout's not till 2021. 2021 is when the contract runs to, right? The CBA?
I think so.
Yeah. So the leagues have to last until 2021. But if they do, that could be the opening for both those leagues.
I disagree. I just think without the main league, interest in the sport will decline. I don't think people want to go see, a bunch of replacements. I think that was a great movie, The Replacements, but I don't really want to see it in real life.
Movie. I love that movie. That's one of my favorite sports movies of all time. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, we'll end it on that, because I feel like we could go about this for another hour or so. It is almost 10 o'clock now. Let's wrap up, though. This has been a great hour, Eric. Dave is great. I love Dave. I love the talks between you and me when we wind up doing things. Always wind up going down some interesting rabbit holes. So I thank you for that.
I try, my friend. Each and every week, I try to bring my A game for you.
Thank you. Let's end it on this. You seen movies? What movies have you seen lately?
I haven't seen any. I gotta go see Ant-Man. And there's one other one I wanted to see that I'm forgetting that I know came out.
Well,
it's not the Meg.
I kind of want to see that. But
No, you don't. You don't want to see Jason Statham, a poor man's Rock, beat up a giant shark. Like, you just don't need to see it.
I
think it's terrible. If you're gonna watch a terrible shark movie, go watch Sharknado.
I actually have never seen any of the Sharknado movies, but I've heard.
Me either, because they're terrible.
Yeah, but I've heard they're so bad they're funny. So
yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting out of the Meg.
Yeah, but I kind of want to see that. I don't know why. I think it's because, like, I know you said you watch Collider Heroes. I watch a lot of the other, like, the Stream Junkie shows and the other Collider shows. So they've all been riding the Meg hype train all summer. So they kind of have me in a mood where at least I want to see it so I could be in on the discussion a little bit. I'm not going to
Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible is the one I wanted to see. That's the one I couldn't remember.
I'll tell you this. I saw that this weekend. That was a very good movie. You get to see the $1 million mustache that Henry Cavill was rocking. Because, that's the mustache. They had the CGI out of Justice League. So I call
Mustache Gate. How could I forget?
Yeah, that's the $1 million mustache right there. He's very good in the movie, I thought. I'll tell you this. I took my brother out for his birthday on Saturday. And I told him he could pick any movie he wanted to see, and I would take him to it. And I wanted to see Mission Impossible because I had just seen Rogue Nation a couple of weeks ago, and I liked that. I thought that was pretty good. All right, so my brother, I said, all right, what movie do you want to see? Oh, I want to see Skyscraper. Okay, fine. I didn't want to see that, but it's like, I'm taking my brother out for his birthday. Yeah. Did you see Did you see it?
Oh yeah, I saw it because my fiance, she's a big fan of The Rock, so pretty much I gotta go see. I see everything The Rock's in. I've seen Rampage, I've seen Jumanji, I've seen it all. Baywatch, anything The Rock's in, I go and see. So yeah, I'm gonna say Sky Heart is what I like to call it in memory of our boy Schnapp. But yeah, no. So Skyheart, I couldn't get into. I mean, it just the one-legged Rock. I mean that's how far they have to take The Rock now with his action movies. Is they literally are like, well, what can you do with one leg? Like it's just a little too far-fetched.
I did not.
The whole plot, everything. It was just an all-around awful movie. I don't believe I enjoyed it at all.
I'm not gonna call it terrible, but I definitely did not like that movie. Like honestly, like we got out of the movie. My brother drops me off. I go home. I saw that night after I got home. I saw Teen Titans go to the movies, and I saw Mission Impossible back to back right after seeing Skyscraper because I had to erase that taste from my mouth. And I'll tell you this, Teen Titans go to the movies, go see Lego Batman instead. I don't know if you ever saw Lego Batman, but if you have to watch one DC animated comedy movie, go watch Lego Batman. That's my advice. And Mission Impossible was a good movie. But I say this, and this might be my last note on this. I don't want to compare Skyscraper to Die Hard simply because Die Hard is a dumb, fun action movie that has fun with itself. Skyscraper is a dumb action movie that is just so goddamn serious. It's like, how are you supposed to have fun with this movie when like everybody just looks like so serious? There's no yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. There's no, now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. There's nothing. What is there? There's, I turned it off and turned it on. That was like the big line at the end of the movie. So they took it way too serious, and they totally neutered The Rock. Like, I don't know about you, that one scene where like the bad guys have him down on his knees and they have his daughter in front of him. Look at The Rock, man. The Rock would have hit the one guy in the balls, took a machine gun, and murdered everybody in the room. That's what I wanted to see. That would have been the best scene in the movie if they did that. They didn't do that.
No, I think that he kind of phoned it in on that one.
I can agree with you.
You can tell. There's some movies, I mean, The Rock is big now, and he does a lot of action movies, and he gets paid big bucks to do them. And that's great for him because I like The Rock. I'm a Rock fan myself. But this is one of those movies where I think he was more in it for the paycheck than he was the actual movie, because I don't think there's anybody out there. But again, that's not even a discredit to him, because I don't believe there's any action hero out there that could have made that movie any good.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I don't care if Tom Cruise was doing the stunts himself. I don't care if, anybody. You Matt Damon. I don't care if you're sticking Jeremy Renner. I don't care who you're sticking in there. Nobody's making that movie any better than The Rock made it. Jason Statham. Nobody's stepping in. Vin Diesel. Nobody's stepping in and making that movie any good.
Vin Diesel would have made that movie worse.
Exactly. Most of them would have probably made it worse. Mm-hmm. Rock probably was the best choice for any type of anything you were going to get out of it, but you got the most you can get out of it, and it flopped.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I definitely agree with you on that. Let me ask you something, though, because you and me both grew up wrestling fans, so we've seen The Rock as a bad guy. Don't you want to see one movie where Rock, not necessarily the character he was back in the Attitude Era, but don't you want to see one movie where The Rock is like that? The ballsy, the guy who just freaking all this charisma in the world, just come in and just slap the hell out of people and just say all these different things. One movie where The Rock actually looks like he has balls again.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that might actually happen, and it might actually happen in an upcoming movie called Shazam, where he may or may not show up as Black Adam.
Oh, so you're on the train where you think he's going to show up?
I think maybe you get a tease of him at the end. I don't know if you get it full on. But like I said, maybe he's the tease to the next chapter. Maybe he folds in some way, has some kind of cameo.
Yeah.
I think that's the next way he's going. I mean, he's teased it in the past. He wants to do it. Yeah. And he would play that kind of bad guy / anti-hero. And, yeah.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I'll tell you this. That trailer looked really good. I was laughing the whole time. That looked like it's going to be a good movie.
Aquaman looked like a good trailer.
It did. It absolutely did. Shazam was just funny. That's why I like that. Aquaman.
But that's what they said. It was big with superpowers.
Yeah.
That was the theme they were going for with it. Yeah. Or kind of, I guess, what are they saying about Aquaman, where it's almost like the Indiana Jones of the sea or something? I don't know. I'm saying something about it, but I think it looks good. I think it looks good. I think both of them look good. I'm excited to see them both. I think actually DC maybe on the rise a little bit, and then Wonder Woman after that. I mean. And
what do you think about the Joker movie that's supposed to be outside? Yeah, dude.
I'm not sure how I feel about Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker. I mean, we'll get his take on it, I guess, but I'm just not. I guess they're going back to with this one, right? Where it's
they're doing it over, which may not be the best thing in the world, but they got Robert De Niro in the movie now, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm just not. I'd have to see more of it. I'd have to see a trailer. There'd have to be something that would have to get me pumped up about it. I'd be more interested to see a Superman 2 or a, Batman movie or something else. Flash movie. Give me one of them instead, in my opinion.
Well, I'll tell you this, to give another shout out to John Schnepp. He probably would have preferred a Man of Steel 2 because he was riding that train for a couple of years. So, definitely give you that one. At this point, I have no confidence they're ever going to make that the Batman movie with Jake Gyllenhaal or Ben Affleck or whoever the hell. Nobody knows what the hell's happening with that. But like you said, I think it's very possible. They got Aquaman coming out later in the year. They got 3 movies next year. I think it's possible they turn the corner a little bit, even if they're still not giving us all the movies they said they were going to. So. Gotta start
what are
somewhere.
the 3 next year? I know of Wonder Woman and Shazam. What's the third one?
Joker.
Is that coming out next year? I don't think it will. I bet you that's going to get pushed to 2020.
It might, but as of right now, it's supposed to come out early October of 2019. I'm not going to argue with you on that. You could be right about that. All right, man. Well, this has been a lot of fun. It is 10. Oh, you know what I want to say at first? Did you see the trailer for Glass?
Yes, I saw the trailer for Glass, but I'll be honest, I am going to see Glass, but I am one of the few who hasn't seen Split yet.
Oh, you got to see Split.
Bro. Yeah, and I know that the ending's kind of ruined for me, but I'm still going to see it anyway.
Well, I'll tell you this. The movie itself is not great. McAvoy is amazing in that movie. James McAvoy playing that the 22 personalities. My God, he did something I've never seen before. That was amazing.
Well, like I said, I'm going to see it. I plan on seeing it. And, yeah, no, I saw actually, it kind of got me pumped for it, and I saw the trailer afterwards. I actually saw Conan and he did his week at Comic-Con. Okay. He had the cast of Glass on there with M. Night Shyamalan and, all of them. They were all there, and it was just cool to hear him talk about it and whatnot. So it just got me interested. So I watched the trailer, and I was like, yeah, I want to see this. So, yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that was a great looking trailer, man. That was a great looking trailer. Even though I'll tell you this, I don't know about you, it was very hard watching any of those trailers that came out at Comic-Con, given that that was when we found out that Schnepp had died. It was just hard watching all those trailers without thinking, man, sucks. He would have loved this shit, man. It was very bittersweet, this Comic-Con. So.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad we were able to get sweaty here for a little while tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, man. That is going to do it for us. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Erich Treslar, you got any final words?
Let's go Yankees. They're on their way to a win tonight, and we'll see Boston this weekend. Let's go Yankees.
Okay. And I am your host, Mike Aglialoro. For This is SportsZone. Once again, thank you all for listening, and we will see y'all next week. Stay sweaty.